Hello and welcome everybody. Welcome back or welcome to Sectors Made Simple. We try and provide our subscribers with an incredible range of tools that allow them to not only discover new ways of investing, but maybe even simplify ways that you are currently investing. Now, today I want to introduce you all to one of our tools called the P&F Setup Screener. If you are a current subscriber, this is a tool that you're probably familiar with, but it's gotten a nice upgrade in terms of visuals, but also functionality. So I want to show you what has changed. If you have never seen this tool before, the purpose of this tool is to make technical analysis strategies simple and, more importantly, create it in a way that allows it to be filtered or, as the name implies, screened. There are very few resources out there that allow you to look at hundreds, if not, in our case, thousands of different companies on a technical analysis level, allowing you to search and filter this list to find the companies that meet your needs. So today, we're going to do exactly that. I'm going to introduce you to the tool. I'm going to show how the tool works and a little bit behind the curtain of what information it uses, and then finally I'll demonstrate 3 different ways at 3 different skill levels of how the tool can be used. If you're here with us live, thank you all so much for joining us. There is lots for us to get into, as well as a special announcement to kick things off, so let's get straight into the action. So, quick disclaimer, I will talk today a little bit about strategies. More specifically, I will also mention terms. Buy signal, sell signal. When I use those terms, that is not my recommendation to buy or sell something. Those are terms that are specific to P&F. We did not coin them, those are just standard terms that are used. So please remember, everything here is meant for educational purposes, is sharing commonly available information. Well, our tools aren't commonly available. The principles that the tools use are well understood and commonly available. And remember, past results never guarantee future performance. Alright, boring stuff's done with. Let's get into the fun stuff. The goals for today's webinar is to continue what we started last week in our updated matrix webinar. We want to showcase how these tools have changed for the better. So today, we're going to continue the conversation by taking a look at the P&F Setup Screener. We're going to explain what this tool does, how to use it, and more importantly, how investors of differing skill levels can all find a way to utilize this tool to help their investments. But first, I have an announcement. Ready? For 1 week, all of our members' webinars on our website, SMS Learn, are free. Pretty cool. So as part of our celebration of the month of Matrix, we are announcing that for the next week, from today, May 21st, through May 28th, next Tuesday, you can access all of our non-members and members' webinars, all available for free. No credit card, no trial, none of that. Free is free. This also includes all of our Spanish language courses that we offer. So, if you want to learn a little bit more about different topics in both English or Spanish, they're available. All you need to get this is your free SMS account. The website for our webinars is learn.sectorsmadesimple.com. I just posted the link in chat. So if you head on over there and log in with your account, you should now have access to all of the webinars. So on this website, you will find literally all of the webinars that we've done. And let's be honest, it's a lot of webinars. There's over 300 of them. So we found some unique ways of allowing you to explore this content in an easier manner. So what you can do is you can search through all of our webinars through using keywords or tags, or we've also put together a handful of, for the lack of a better term, playlists that take existing webinars and put them in an order that help you explore a specific topic in more detail. Now, this to me is the easiest way to get started with the Learn site. So, to expand on that, I have a few recommendations of where you could or should start. So, if you want to learn more about Sectors Made Simple and our tools, and more importantly, the trading strategies that SMS subscribers have access to, check out the series, Using the Matrix. If you want to learn more about the importance of creating a balanced portfolio for your investments, you've probably heard the term, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Well, here is your opportunity to learn how to do that. So check out our series, Building a Portfolio. It will teach you all about different asset classes and, more importantly, how you can use ETFs as a simple way to diversify your portfolio with very little extra work. Then, if you're interested to learn about options, while our tools do not focus on options, our education can and does. So we have an entire series in English called All About Options. It will teach you all of the basics you need to know, as well as methods to be able to practice and learn how to trade options using fake money. También tengo recomendaciones para webinarios en español. Si quieres aprender y tomar la información de opciones en español, tenemos el curso de inversores en opciones. Esta serie es con Julie y su amiga Meli, y nuestra amiga también. Ella es increíble. Entonces, esta serie es increíble también. Pero si quieres aprender más sobre las herramientas de SMS, tenemos una serie cerca de la serie en inglés de Step into Sectors. Esta serie va a darte la información que tú necesitas aprender para tomar toda la información del Matrix en una manera más fácil y más sensible también. So, to quickly summarize, 3 amazing recommendations in English, and there are tons more, so please explore and enjoy to your heart's content. But again, we do offer webinars and courses natively in Spanish as well, if that is more what you are looking for. Cool. Y la mosca en la pared. Tenemos demasiado cursos para tomar. Claro que sí. If you manage to get through all of them in 1 week, hats off to you. But the reality is that while we've done our best to present you with information that we feel like is important and valuable, the reality is everyone's goals as investors are different. Everyone's knowledge is going to be different. And we don't want to just ignore that. So if you have questions throughout this week of free access, or you want specific suggestions about what webinars to check out, send us an email, chat with us. The support email is not to some generic support. That support email is to me. So I will help you to identify what courses would be most interesting to you. In reality, it is our hope that through sharing all of these webinars with you, you can discover new ways to trade or develop a stronger understanding of the stock market. And again, we understand. Having access immediately to 300 plus hours of webinars is a lot. So explore to your heart's content, but if at any point you feel stuck or you want suggestions, send me an email, give me a little bit of information about what you're looking for, and I can help you to find the webinars that you're curious about. I promise you, just like there's probably an app for everything, there is probably a webinar for everything as well. We've been doing this for almost 5 years. We have so many webinars that we can share. Cool. So that's the Learn site. Enjoy through May 28th. Now, let's talk about the big topic for today, the Point and Figure Setup Screener. Before we can dive straight into this tool, I want to provide a little bit more information about a term that you might not be familiar with up here. Point and figure. So, the reality is that we do have information to help you learn point and figure. That series is called Step into Sectors, and even after your free week of access ends, that course is still free, so you don't need a subscription to watch and enjoy that course. But, so you don't need to go and watch a full series on point and figure and how we utilize it here at Sectors Made Simple, I'm going to give you a quick summary. Cool. So here's the summary of what point and figure is, and more importantly, why it matters. Point and figure does not track price over time like most other stock charts. Instead, it tracks price over trends, or price trends. Let me show you. What you see here is not a demonic game of tic-tac-toe. Instead, what it is a point and figure chart. Each one of these columns is one price trend. And the size of the column and the numbers behind my head tell us the prices. So for example, with this big column of X's right here, we know that its price was in an uptrend from $166 to $192.38. That's how you would use that. The little red numbers, by the way, are months. So 1 shows us how price trends developed in January, 2 February, 3 March, 4 April. You get the gist of it. What are the X's and what are the O's? X's represent positive trends. So whenever you see a column of X's, it is going up. Meaning, this current column that we are in right now is a column of X's that started at 166 and has gone up to 192.38. Conversely, O's are negative trends. So you would read that from the top of the column going down. So if we looked at the previous column of O's here, how we would read that is that that negative trend started at $176 and went down to $164. That's the general idea of how that works. Again, the numbers on the right behind my head here, those are prices. But it's not a singular price. Each box represents a range of prices. So you'll notice how, just like you would see on many things like a ruler, it only measures certain increments. So here, we see it goes from $170 to $172 to $174, $176, and so on. So this box of $176 is all prices between $176 and 0 cents and $177 and 99 cents. The minute it ticks over to $178, it now enters the next box. The reason it does this is most likely just makes it a lot simpler to see singular columns and know that it is a trend through those boxes. But more importantly, the goal of these charts are that they allow us to find clear levels of support and resistance. These are technical analysis terms that give us an idea of where a previous trend stopped. Then, when the price approaches that barrier again, it adds increased tension and attention on our part to see if it surpasses that barrier. When the price breaks one of these barriers, it triggers what is called a break. If it is a resistance barrier, the ceiling, it breaks out above that ceiling. If it is a support barrier, which is the floor, think about it like the floor is your support, otherwise we'd kind of just fall through the ground, it breaks down below, or a breakdown of that support barrier. These two factors, X or O, breakout or breakdown, those are the important takeaways from a point and figure chart. And that's what this screener provides us with. So now let's get into the screener. So the point of the setup screener is to give us a tool that can simplify support and resistance-based technical analysis. Technical analysis, I'm sure many people are familiar with. is a very interesting and deep world of exploring how price and price development over time can be used to create trading strategies. But often, when you're doing technical analysis, you're only looking at a singular chart, singular company. And it can be really difficult because it takes a lot of work to develop a process and monitor that stock for its process, but you might be missing an opportunity over here that you never knew existed because you just weren't looking at that security. Our goal with the point and figure setup screener is to create a way of using point and figure based support and resistance to create a table that we can convert that point and figure chart into numbers or categories. And what this will do is it will allow us to look at and evaluate thousands of companies' point and figure charts in seconds. From here, once we've gotten the big table, we can filter down just like any good screener can. So you can filter these results by its sector, its market sector, or if it's in a column of X's or a breakdown, or even how far away the current price is from a support or a resistance barrier. Now, this is great. This is a lot of customization, but the reality is it might be a lot, especially if you're just starting off using the tool. So what we've done is we've created some presets that you press one button and it loads up an entire scenario for you. It will only show you companies that are meeting this specific criteria. And I'll give you an example of what that looks like here in a little bit. But let's answer the question. Why should you care? Why is this tool something that you need as part of your investment toolkit? Well, the answer, to kind of use a silly term, is quite simple. Support and resistance are a very, very valuable way to figure out where previous price trends started and, more importantly, where they ended. Point and figure is very valuable in terms of finding these reversal points. If you look, for example, at a chart for SPY, what is going to be easier? Finding clear levels of support and resistance in a chart like this, or a chart like this. You can see where a previous trend stopped, how far down it went, and when it started going back up again. That is the goal of point and figure. Get rid of time because time doesn't matter as much as the size and direction of these trends. That is the goal of point and figure, but all of that information is for a single company. And unfortunately, just like stock charts, the example that we just took a look at, this chart is a giant picture. I can't index that. I can't use that as part of a filter because it's a picture. So it makes screening a large number of charts basically impossible. So our screener changes that. As a little bit of a sneak peek behind the curtain, we do not use point and figure charts from other companies. We take in raw market data and we create all of these charts ourselves. That allows us to create tools like the S&P 500, the point and figure setup screener. I just hinted at something that's coming next week. Yay, foreshadowing. But in reality, the point and figure setup screener allows us to leverage point and figure data in a way that no one else can, because most places aren't calculating all of this data themselves. We are calculating it for the entire New York Stock Exchange with over 2,000 securities to choose from. So our data set is very large, and the possibilities for using this tool are endless. Now, What information does the point and figure setup screener offer? For each company listed, it includes the ticker of the company, kind of important, the name of the company, also good to know, what sector the company belongs to, and these are where we start getting into some new terms. How many boxes is the current price from its support barrier? Remember, that's the bottom line. If that number is positive, it is above the support barrier. If it is negative, it's below the support barrier. Conversely, we have boxes from resistance. How many point and figure boxes is the current price from its resistance barrier? Positive numbers means it's above that resistance barrier. Negative numbers mean it's below that resistance barrier. Then finally, we give a little bit of information about its current point and figure chart. We tell you what its trend is. So if it is in a column of X's, meaning its price is going up, or O's, meaning its price is going down. And we tell you what the most recent breakout or breakdown is. So that's what it is, but now let's talk about how we can use it. Well, using it can be really, really, really simple, and is really simple. We offer a bunch of different boxes that each box allows you to filter one of the columns. The reality is, if you haven't noticed, some things like X's or O's, or breakouts or breakdowns, or sectors, those aren't numbers. Those are what are known as categorical data. They're words. So some filters will be categorical, allowing you to choose which ones or which conditions you want to see. So for example, you can filter to only show companies that are in columns of X's that are also currently on breakdowns, point and figure sell signals. But we also offer some numeric filters for things like how many boxes are we from the current support and resistance. For this, we need to talk a little bit more about arguments, aka not the arguments that you might have with other people, arguments about math. So you can have it equal a number, you can have it be greater than that number, or you can have it be less than that number. All of this is to say you can customize and filter basically anything on this screener. And once you set this filter, for all of these filters, the screener will only show you companies that meet those requirements. I feel like we've done a lot of talking and not a lot of showing. Why don't we head on over to the tool and actually show you what this is all about. So this is the point and figure setup screener. I'm going to hide my face, by the way, so I can show you this in a bit more detail. Goodbye. You know, I always do this. I have two different screens for the webcam. I always hit the wrong one. Let's try this again. Goodbye. So this is the point and figure setup screener. I'm going to zoom in to make it a little bit easier to read. That was a bad idea. Back to this. At the top, we have all of our different filters. So what we can do is, I'm going to come back to setup type. That will be the last one. But you can filter by sector, so you can only show S&P 500 companies, or you can only show companies in energy, or you can show companies in utilities, financials, and industrials. And what that will do is it will only show us companies within those sectors. So for example, we start off with 2015 companies. We add in utilities. We're now down to 72. You add in materials, back up to 193, you get the point. We also let you sort by column. So do you want to see things that are in an upward price direction or a downward price direction? X's or O's. You can filter by signal. Are they in point and figure buy signals, breakouts, or sell signals, breakdowns? And here we get into the math arguments. You can have it be equal to a number. So if we did equal to boxes from resistance, let's try 3. You'll now see that all of the charts that it is giving us are 3 boxes from their resistance barrier. And remember, positive numbers means it's above the barrier, meaning these are all above their resistance barriers. -3. These are all the companies that are below their resistance barrier by 3 boxes. We can make this be greater than, so now all of our numbers are between 30 and -2 or -3, or rather -2 because it's greater than, not greater than or equal to. Or you can have it be less than. Poor GameStop. You can have it be its resistance barrier. So here it's going to be anything between -46 and -4. We can repeat this process for our support barriers. So you can have things that are 3 boxes from their support, -3 boxes from their support, greater than 3 boxes, and less than 3 boxes. And again, all of these conditions can be combined. So maybe we want to look for communication service companies that are more than 3 boxes from their support. Here's your list. Maybe you want to see ones that are within 3 boxes of their resistance. So they're getting close to their resistance level. Once again, here you go. What if you want to find ones that are on point and figure sell signals, but they're getting close to buy signals? You can go signal, currently on a breakdown, those point and figure sell signals. So now we have a list of communication service companies that are close to their resistance barrier. They're approaching a point and figure buy signal, but they're not there yet. So this gives us 8 companies. I'm going through this fairly quickly right now, simply because the goal is to show you how all of these different values combined can filter down and narrow your search. If we started just with boxes from resistance, we have 1,141 values. If we add in communication services, we now have 35. And if you add in your breakdowns, we now have 8. That is the goal of this screener. Provide you a way of doing technical analysis strategies, allow you to evaluate 2,000 companies, and get very detailed about what you are looking for. Whether it be things already on buy signals, things still on sell signals, things approaching buy signals, or things that have a lot of room to grow. But if this is all too much for you, don't worry. The setup type, these are essentially presets. You can click one of these and it will load up a setup for you. My favorite are the potential breakouts. This one will show us companies that are at or right below their buy signal. So these are things that are at their resistance level but have not passed it yet, or things that are 1 box below their resistance level. Meaning, if it goes above them, those would be point and figure buy signals. Also, if you're curious how many companies this would be, 311. Too many? There are ways of narrowing it down, but I'm going to save that for one of the strategies that we'll talk about in a few moments. For right now, I want to show you what these values would actually look like if we were to look at a point and figure chart. We're going to use this company. I'm back, by the way. We're going to use this company's chart right up here. The ticker symbol is gold. Then its sector is materials. And now let's take a look at its chart. Remember, X's mean that the price is going up. And this top X is where the price is currently. The numbers don't actually matter because we're just looking at the number of boxes here. This upper box is our resistance barrier. If we were to count how many boxes there are from where we currently are to that barrier, it would just be 1. So we are 1 box below our resistance barrier, meaning on the screener, it would show as -1. From support, if we were to count how many boxes above the support barrier we are, it would be 1, 2, 3, because the support barrier is below the most recent column of O's. That's where the previous downtrend stopped and then reverse direction. That defines the support barrier. So we are 3 boxes above the support barrier. Because we are 3 boxes above, that number would be +3, or just 3. Finally, we are currently in a column of X's, as we can see, because the most recent column, the column on the right, is X's. And if we check what is the most recent thing that's happened, was it a column of X's above the previous column of X's, or a column of O's below the previous column? X's above the previous, that is a resistance barrier breakout. That is a point and figure buy signal. A breakdown is when our column of O's goes below the previous column. In this case, the most recent thing that happened, well, let's go chronologically. This price went down in November, and then back up. December, it went up. January, it went down. And February, it broke down, going on a point and figure sell signal. Then it started going back up and broke its resistance barrier, reversed down, and then in May, it started going back up. So it would be on a breakout because that's the most recent thing that's happened. Is this considered a buying signal? It is a point and figure buy signal, yes, but please remember, point and figure is never a recommendation to buy or sell anything. The goal of those terms isn't to tell you go buy this right now, it's to identify when a level of support or resistance is broken. Nothing can ever guarantee that something is going to go up in the future. So the reality is that by looking at support and resistance, we can have a way of increasing our chances of success. It is very common that we will find point and figure charts that hit but don't pass their resistance barrier over and over and over. Actually, let's see if we can find a few examples of this. Over on stock charts, there is a thing called predefined scans. Hello? There's predefined scans. Did they get rid of them? Let's not knock over my water bottle. Hey, there they are. Alright, they just moved up. We can scroll down here to candlestick patterns. Nope, point and figure patterns. These are a bunch of terms we don't need to worry about right now. What I want to show you are these breakouts. Let's go look at this chart, for example. Let's start back a little bit. Over on the left side here. In 2021, we saw a resistance barrier get established, hit but not passed, and then finally broke out above. This level was tested once and failed and broke down. This level was tested once, so it established a support barrier, rose, tested it, failed, broke out. 1, 2, 3, 4 times it hit that barrier. One time it dipped its toe into new territory and said, nah, not for me. But check this out. That support barrier that it broke in April of 2022 was established, tested once, tested twice, tested 3 times. On the 4th time, it finally broke down below. Point and figure is a thing because it is well established, well studied, and very, very, very clear at showing these levels of support and resistance. Right now, we see that this company is on a quadruple, or honestly, quintuple top breakout. They just don't actually go beyond quadruple. We have the establishment here in June of last year, tested once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. So on the 4th time, it finally broke out above. All of that is to explain that this information is valuable. Point and figure did not invent support and resistance. Support and resistance is a very basic idea in technical analysis. Point and figure just makes it a lot easier to identify these levels of support and resistance and track when trends are approaching them. So, back to our example here, let's put all of these different factors together. Ticker symbol gold in the material sector. Boxes from resistance would be -1. Boxes from support would be 3. And currently in a column of X's on a breakout signal. Survey says gold, materials, 3 boxes from support, -1 box from resistance, column of X's, breakout. Turn that chart into this line. We do that 2,000 companies every single day. So, let's give some examples of how investors of varying skill levels can utilize this screener, and also take in information from other tools that we provide on the dashboard. Our subscriptions to SMS are not these tiered access where you only get one tool. Any subscription gives you full access to all of the tools on the dashboard. So it is very valuable to remember that these tools can be used together to make more informed decisions. And it provides you all of this information in one place. With that said, let's take a look at our 3 different strategies. You have a question. What is the question? While I'm waiting for the response, I'm going to grab some water. I wish it gave you a little bubble. Is gold in a breakout signal or I'm assuming you mean buy signal, not bicycle. Is gold in a breakout signal or a buy signal? Point and figure uses those terms as the same thing. So a breakout is a point and figure buy signal. A breakdown is a point and figure sell signal. So yes, by gold being on a point and figure breakout, that is a point and figure buy signal. It is never a recommendation to buy. It is not me telling you to go and buy it. Again, these are not terms that I invented. These are terms that are created and established by the principles of point and figure. Great question. Now, let's talk about strategies for using this screener. I apologize that it says S&P here. It should be point and figure screener. We're going to have to just pretend that it says that, because the rest of the slides are also going to say S&P screener. That is another tool. That is a topic for next week. So the goal of using this as a beginner is avoiding all of the crazy setups and filtering. We don't need it. We can start off by just using the potential breakouts setup. What this will do is it gives us a list of companies that are at or right below their resistance barriers. The reason this is helpful is that we can set price alerts for when these companies go on point and figure buy signals. A lot of places will offer you the ability to know, are these companies already on buy signals? Our tool allows you to set these alerts to understand and track them before they're on buy signals. That is how our tool is very different, is that it gives you information that other sources don't. Now, the companies that we are really looking for this beginner setup are ones that are currently on sell signals, breakdowns, but their price is going up, meaning that that buy signal has a lot of importance. Those are the opportunities that we're looking for. Let me show you how we would do that. So what we would do is put in here for the setup, the potential breakouts. As we saw before, this gives us all of the all of the boxes from resistance that are 0 or -1. From here, we want to find things that are still on sell signals. So we would do breakdown. First, before we add that, we have 311 companies on the potential breakouts. Adding breakdown narrows it down to 152. I don't know about you, 152 is still too many options for me. So let's find a way of simplifying it. The easiest way to simplify, in my opinion, is filter by sector. So we're going to go over to the sector summary page and check out the matrix to see what the top sector is. So we would go here, and we would wait until the matrix loads and sort by total count, which is overall strength, where we find XLU is our leader. XLU is the sector ETF for utilities. So we can go back to our point and figure setups and add utilities here. We went from 152 options to 8. 8 is enough for us to go through and add alerts for these different setups. And when this tool releases, we will also have the ability to click on the ticker and open up the point and figure chart for it, making it super easy to look at this list, click on the ticker and find that buy price, and then using whatever program you use for setting alerts, set the alerts. So that is the basic strategy for using the tool. No advanced customization, just a couple of options to filter down our list if there are too many choices for us to choose from. So wouldn't it be clearer to use the term potential breakout or potential breakdown instead of breakout and breakdown? No, because we are not talking about a potential breakout for these. The recent signals are things that have actually happened. So if we were to look at the chart for AWK, we would see that it is still on a sell signal. The most recent breakout or breakdown was a breakdown below a support barrier. For the filter, for the screener setup, here we are using the term potential breakouts, because here we are not looking at things that have already broken out. We are looking for things that might break out because they are getting very, very close to their resistance. We can see the same thing for the breakdowns, by the way, where here what we are looking at are companies that are near their support barriers, meaning the price is getting very, very close. Actually, let's just open one of these charts up so you can see the reals, what it looks like. Again, on the full release of this version of the dashboard, we will have the ability to see these charts in the dash. In the meantime, though, what do we have here? we have a support barrier that has been tested once and twice. So it is very, very close to breaking down below its support barrier. That support barrier was established, tested once, and is now being tested again. So those are our examples where we are looking at potential breakouts or breakdowns. But when we see recent signal, for example, the recent signal for ALB is a breakout because the most recent thing that happened was a breakout. Right here in May, we had one breakout, a reversal, and then another breakout confirming that original breakout. So it is still on a point and figure breakout, and that is not a potential breakout, that is an actual breakout. But the screener is allowing us to filter to see things that might break out because they're getting very, very close to doing so. Cool. So that is the beginner setup. Let's now talk about the intermediate one. The intermediate setup is going to be very, very, very similar to the beginner setup. But the only thing we're going to change now is we're going to get a little bit more advanced and a little bit more creative with how we choose what sector we want to filter by. So we're still going to use the potential breakouts preset. We're still going to look for things that are on breakdowns. So we are finding new buy signals, not confirmations. But instead of going to the sector summary and finding the top sector there, we're going to use a different part of that page. Remember that I said before, these are the companies, these filters are for the companies in the New York Stock Exchange. These ETFs are for the S&P 500. So instead of using the S&P 500, why don't we use the New York Stock Exchange? BPI is something that I covered a little bit in last week's updated matrix webinar. But the long and short of it is, this tells us what percent of companies are on those point and figure buy signals. Our area of opportunity are sectors that have lower BPIs, more room to grow, but are currently in columns of X's, meaning that number of companies and buy signals is going up over time. Let's take a look at utilities. Utilities, yes, is in a column of X's, but its BPI is 79%, meaning 79% of companies in utilities are currently on buy signals. For some people, that might be a good thing. For others, you might want something that has a bit more room to grow. How about technology? Technology, if we take a look at the matrix, is still doing well. It's tied for second place. So why don't we take technology and plug that in and see if we can find any opportunities. We can go here and plug in technology. Now we have 5 companies. Maybe you want more than 5 companies. Okay. Let's check financials. XLF. 80% BPI. Ugh. All right. Let's go back to the list. Communication services. Communication services. 64%. Okay. Let's add it. 13 companies. Quickly and easily, we can use different parts of the sector summary, depending on how comfortable we are with using the tools, to find which sectors have the most room for growth or opportunity. Opportunity can come in many ways. It can be a sector that already has a lot of strength, like utilities, or it could be a sector that is rapidly growing and improving, like technology. So really, this tool is something that is completely customizable. as your knowledge of studying the market grows, you can create different ways of discovering opportunities. We just demonstrated 2 ways to do that. Look at one number and not need to make a decision on saying, I'm going to filter by utilities, or use BPIs as a way of studying an equal weighted representation of a sector, and then plugging that back into the to the point and figure setup screener as well. Honestly, someone should start a tally of how many times I've mixed those 2 tools up. So that is the intermediate way. Old dog, slightly new trick. But before we cover the advanced strategy, I feel like I need to provide a little bit more information about boxes, because now we're going to go in and start playing around with some boxes. The goal of box sizes are to keep the levels of significance within each box similar. It's not perfect, I will tell you that, it is not perfect, but it is similar, where we can assume that one box of change is a similar significance in terms of the underlying price. As the dollar values of these securities go up, so do the range of prices that each box covers. Let me show you an example. We go back to stock charts. If we have our price here, we are between $100 and $200. We see our box size is $2. Apple just ends at 200. Let's try Tesla. Now all of a sudden, check this out. We see it goes from 196, 198, 200. The minute it ticks over to 200, the box size changes. We go now from 200 to 204 to 208 to 212. We want to have some real fun. I forget the term that they use. They just use a slash. Here, our interval is $500. So the basic idea is that box size will change as the prices of the securities change. So what this does is it lets us use box size as a way of gauging how far in terms of price change, percent change, we are from those support and resistance levels, regardless of its current price. So with that established, here is one of the suggestions that I have for an advanced way of using the point and figure setup screener, not S&P screener. We can use this screener as a way of finding swing trading opportunities. One of the guiding principles, or one of the main ideas of support and resistance technical analysis, is that trends are most likely to reverse at or near their previous levels. We saw that very, very clearly with the previous chart that we looked at, where we saw levels of support and resistance get tested 3 or 4 times before finally getting broken. So using that, and using our knowledge of box sizes, we can look for companies who are near one price level, but are trending in the opposite direction. Meaning that we have a defined level of risk, and we have an idea of our opportunity for reward. So this example is a little hard to explain and a lot easier to show. So let me show you an example. We're going to go here and we're going to clear everything. I know that for me, what I'm looking for is a low level of risk. I tend to be a fairly risk-averse investor. I also prefer, unless I'm trading options, to go long. I prefer to buy something with the hope that it goes up over time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for things that have momentum in a positive direction. I want things that are already on breakouts. That way they're not trying to break into a buy signal. They're already in a buy signal. They might have just had some pullback. I want something that is pretty close to its resistance barrier, to its support barrier. My apologies. So I want something that's less than 3 boxes. What that means is that we are pretty close to that support barrier. So if things don't go my way, remember, these aren't promises of profits. But I know that I'm not risking more than 3 boxes because I set my sell level to that breakdown point. So if it breaks down, I set a stop loss to sell out. So here we are at, or guess 4, because it's less than. Here we are seeing securities that are 3, 0, 3, 2 boxes from their support. I want things that are going up in price, so I'm not waiting for it to reverse. It's already reversing. And here I have a list of 123 companies. But I also want to know that I have a lot of room for gains. So what I can do is I can make sure that my boxes from resistance is more than -5. I want more reward to risk. So what this gives me is companies that have minimal risk, meaning that they are close to their support barriers, that they have room for growth. Actually, let's try less than. There we go. These are companies that have a lot of room for growth. So 11 boxes of growth before it has to test its resistance barrier. 8 boxes of growth before it tests it. 7. So all of these are companies with a lot of room to grow, not a lot of room to risk before we hit that support barrier. They are previously on breakouts, meaning that they don't need to try and test a level to reverse. They just need to get back to where they were before. And their current price is also increasing. These numbers here are customizable. These were just used for an example. You can set these to whatever risk tolerance that you have. But again, the example that we just provided applied to a long position. It can also apply to a short position by reversing all of these conditions. Looking for things in sell signals with a lot of room to go down and minimal opportunity to go up, or rather there is a resistance barrier that we can set as a sellout point if things don't go our way. But also, while swing trading with this is a little bit slower, this data is daily, it's not intraday. Let's be real. So while there is less opportunity for doing something like leverage securities like options, it is not impossible. So it is possible to still use this tool as a way of trading options, both puts and calls, just like we could use long and short positions. And again, any search can be filtered further by searching for specific sectors, and this is just an example. The hope is that if you are an advanced user, you can look at a tool like this and start to discover ways that this can simplify your research process. The goal isn't that you have to listen to me tell you why this tool has value. The hope is that you can see the value of how this will save you the most valuable resource that you have, your time. Researching securities is a tiring process that can be very difficult and require lots of different tools to do so. Our hope is that you can do technical analysis all in one place with full customization. So really, the possibilities of this tool are endless, and the functionality is entirely based on how creative you can be with how it can be used. Like I just mentioned, the goal here isn't to tell you how to invest or what to invest in. It's to provide you with technical analysis data in a way that can be quickly and easily filtered and searched. So with all of that said, let's summarize the P&F Setup Screener. You got it right this time. This screener is a tool meant for streamlining technical analysis trading. It uses point and figure charting as a way of easily identifying price trends and finding clear levels of support and resistance. Using these barriers, it provides you a numeric way to see how far the current price is from these key levels of support and resistance. And finally, it allows you to search through and filter down these results to identify the opportunities that matter the most to you. With that said, that is the introduction and walkthrough of our updated P&F Setup Screener. If you have any questions or would like more information about the tool or any of the tools that we offer here at Sectors Made Simple, please send us an email at support@sectorsmadesimple.com. As a reminder, for the upcoming week, May 21st through May 28th, our Learn site with all 300 plus hours of our members' webinar content is available for free. So head on over to learn.sectorsmadesimple.com to check it out and explore all of the ways that Sectors Made Simple helps create trading strategies, market insights, and analysis information simpler. Thank you all so much. We hope to see you all back next week for the finale of this series and also one of the biggest announcements that we've had in a very, very long time. We're doing something for the first time, so join us, find out what it is, and we hope to see you all then. Take care. Bye.